Welcome to the Free to Play podcast. This is episode 47. This is episode 4. Today, on our lovely episode, we have a jam-packed news week for you. Except we really don't. This episode, we're going to be touching on Anime Lolly Simulator 2020 as our main topic today. But before we get to that, let's get to some housekeeping. Follow us on I don't know why there was a pause there. I guess I was expecting you to say something, and then I was like, all right.
No, I just leave it to the professionals.
Hey, man, you're a podcast host.
But I don't have the experience that you do. This is my only one.
I guess. But my experience is just being bad at it. So if being bad counts as experience, then
Yes, it does, actually.
Go ahead and follow us on GG, where it's in the descriptions. Twitter at the F2P _podcast. Instagram, I think, is the F2P podcast. Follow us on YouTube. We put all our... We don't do video essays. God damn it. We don't do video episodes yet, but we export them all and put them on YouTube day and date. So go check us out there at the Free to Play podcast. Also, to round out the housekeeping, recently I was on the Nerds at Large podcast. They had me on to discuss Steve in Minecraft. We just Steve in Minecraft. I'm such a goddamn idiot. Steve is always in Minecraft.
In case you guys haven't noticed, we're very tired today as well.
We are tired. I just got done doing cleaning my whole apartment.
Damn, you did more than I did. I just played a game.
I played a little bit of that same game. I watched the original It movie for my other podcast tomorrow, and I was rewatching that movie, and then I fucking started cleaning, and then now we're here. So I was on the Nerds at Large podcast a week ago, talking about Steven Smash. We talked a little bit. I rambled about Assassin's Creed for too long again, like I did in last week's episode.
Welcome to the dark side of rambling.
Dude, I do it too much. Talked a lot about the Marvel's Avengers, and then we rounded it out with a discussion on what we're doing for next gen. What our plans and how we're looking forward to the next gen. So go check them out. Link in the description. And yeah, so what have you been playing, Andrew?
Okay, so
actually, I guess you can't really say that because you've only been playing the main topic.
Yeah.
Have you played anything else?
No.
Have you watched any movies?
No. No, I haven't done anything else with my life.
God damn it, you're useless. You haven't played a 3DS game?
I know, I'm so ashamed.
And here I was about to give you a 3DS segment of the show,
I know. I was really hoping they would release it on 3DS, but alas, it got discontinued, so any hopes of that are out the window.
Thank God. I'm so happy they discontinued the 3DS. I was done with that thing.
It went on for a while.
The moment they put Luigi's Mansion Remastered on the 3DS was the moment I was literally done with that entire console.
All right, I think we had some pretty good times, but I think at this point, we got to start seeing other consoles.
It's like, Nintendo, what are you doing? The Switch was out for 2 years already. What was the point? What really was your end game there?
It is a mystery to us all.
Alright, so I guess I'll talk about what I've been playing, which really isn't that much either. I've played a little bit more of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. I'm trying to get the trophy where you get all skill points with a Pro Skater. I've got all the skill points with my Creative Skater, but I got so mad to find out you have to do it with a Pro Skater for the trophy, so I'm going through as Nyjah Houston right now, just getting all the skill points. So that's fun.
Wait, so does that mean that you you did the things as your own character, but it didn't count because it had to be like a certain other character, so you have to do it all over again? Or did you just get achievements for doing it with your character, and then you have to get more achievements for doing it with a certain character?
No, I did them all with my creative skater, and it turns out you have to do it with a pro skater, which I'm not too
Oh, that's
mad about.
fucking dumb.
Yeah, it's like I'm not too mad about it because like I wanted I wanted my created skater to have it anyways, you know. And they're not
Mm-hmm.
like super hard to get. There's like it's more time consuming than anything, but it's not even that bad. There's only one I've ran across so far that I just legit can't get because like sometimes they're kind of randomized. So
Mm-hmm.
I just whatchamacallit?
That's a really
I don't know.
difficult trick to pull off.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb, but that's kind of what I've been doing on that. Today I played the Black Ops Cold War beta, and I don't have that many impressions of it, but
It's
it's
COD.
yeah, it's COD. It's fun. I really enjoy it. Um, the big thing I've been playing, I guess, is Minecraft Dungeons. I played it when it came out on the Switch, and then I played a lot on PC because I got it through Game Pass on PC. But I recently got it on PS4, and I've kind of just been playing that a lot, trying to get the platinum. It's kind of tough. It is kind of tough, like on your own. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
There's some levels where I'm like, fuck, dude, I have to like turn this down at difficulty just to get through it like one time to get some better
Weak.
gear. I know I am weak.
I'm
Well, when I
kidding.
played the game on PC, like me and my girlfriend were running through the bosses, like smacking them, and it was still hard on multiplayer a little bit, but we got them. So like now
Yeah.
playing it like single player, it's just fucking like it's getting kind of difficult.
It's like it's like one of those games where you're kind of meant to have like a good time with friends and stuff. You know, that's why it's like this. 4-player romp.
Mm.
So they probably don't really expect you to like just go through it on single player. Yeah, there's that option there, but I don't think they really expect you to do it. So difficulty may not be like tweaked very well for a single person doing everything.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean it's like it's not that bad. Like it works, you know. Like it's still pretty fun. Like even by yourself, it's still a really fun game. And I've been seeing a lot of people this week like talking about it since my Steven Smash thing. A lot of people bringing up Dungeons, like, oh, that game sucks, you know, and it's boring by yourself. But like, I've been having a blast playing it by myself. I don't really understand the criticism. Like, I get it's not like a Diablo, but like I am enjoying Dungeons a
I
lot.
mean, it's
Like,
better than the mobile Diablo.
I guess people gave that way too much shit though, and then
I
they're
don't
getting
think they
mad.
give it enough.
Dude, people got so fucking mad when the dude's like, you guys have phones, right? When they don't even realize they fucking harassed that dude so hard, of course he's gonna snap back, and then people are gonna act like he's the bad guy. Fuck that. Whole thing pissed me off so goddamn much. People are so fucking stupid. Like, that literally pissed me off so much. They're getting mad at that guy because he retaliated after everyone was being really fucking pissy about the fact that it was a phone game. Obviously, Diablo 4 was happening. Are you fucking dumb?
Yes.
That's my rant for the day. Anyway, Minecraft Dungeons. I mean, I'm almost like 50% to the trophies, and there's not even that many of them. It's just some of them are like, oh, beat these certain levels, or like there's one that you have to play multiplayer for. So I have a couple people that I guess have saw me playing it on PlayStation have hit me up. They're being like, hey, do you want to run through it? So I might do a couple with them. I'd like to have it platinumed in a couple weeks. We'll see. It's a little difficult, but I'm gonna try my best at it.
That's good to know. I wish you luck on your epic journey, my friend.
Thanks, man. Let's go ahead and get to the news. This is gonna be a quick episode, and I kind of hope it is because I have to do something in like 30 minutes. But here we go. Actually, there's two news topics. Our first topic this week, we're not really going to touch on that much because it's like, really all we have to do is read the news and then be like, this is cool, moving on kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I figured we would report on it a little bit. Microsoft has recently invested in GameStop. I have a few excerpts like written by GameStop themselves. I don't see a author on this article, but it's a press release by GameStop. So I have a few excerpts I'm gonna read, and then we can discuss, I guess.
You better provide the link in the description for that too.
Yeah, I'll provide the link. Under this agreement, GameStop will standardize its backend and in-store solutions on Dynamics 365, Microsoft's portfolio of cloud-based business applications and customer data platform, empowering associates with integrated experiences across its business operations, including finance, inventory, e-commerce, retail, and point of sale. This will enable store associates the ability to access omni-channel insights about customer preferences and purchasing history, real-time information on product availability, subscriptions, pricing, and promotions in order to provide a differentiated and personalized in-store customer experience.
That sounds promising.
Yeah, I'll get to it in a little bit, but that does kind of sound hype.
Yeah.
Additionally, associates will be equipped with new Microsoft Service devices that will transform the in-store experience and help unlock new retail experiences in the future. The mobility of Microsoft Surface will allow associates to move freely within the store footprint, meeting the needs of customers faster and more efficiently. Microsoft Surface devices have already been an important part of digital modernization strategy for store management. As part of its transformation, GameStop plans to roll out Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Teams to its stores, empowering more than 30,000 store associates with enhanced productivity and collaboration tools. With Teams, store associates will more easily be able to ask questions and share insights with one another, enabling them to provide a better customer experience. Associates will also benefit from an enhanced security and identify management capabilities. Following decades as an essential provider of the Microsoft Xbox gaming platform and services, GameStop has expanded its Xbox family of product offerings to include Xbox All Access, which provides an Xbox console and 24 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate to players with no upfront costs. GameStop and Microsoft will both benefit from the customer acquisition and lifetime revenue value of each gamer brought into the Xbox ecosystem. And that's all the excerpts that I pulled out of that article.
Yes. The 4 bullet points. There's 5, but 4 of them are filled in.
True.
That doesn't bug me at all. No, wait, there's actually 6.
I know. I don't know why that extra one's there. No one else
and it's
understands
bigger than
this
the
except
others.
us. I don't know why it did that either.
Well, I'm gonna fix this or it's gonna drive me insane. No, that's not what I want to do. just start talking. Just start talking while I do this.
Okay. Yeah, anyway, this does seem kind of interesting. I was watching a few videos as well, kind of like talking about the situation. And I think that first bullet point talking about like all the in-store solutions and backend and everything could be really useful. I mean, they have a good backend already, I would have to assume, but I think with Microsoft coming in, it would make it easier to like kind of whatchamacallit, kind of look and see like what they have in stock, you know, because sometimes like they're not really sure and they're kind of like looking around. So hopefully that kind of like fixes a lot of things, makes it easier.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just making a statement of agreement, but yeah, I agree. It seems like it'll help a lot with like a lot of the organization purposes. I remember like with the GameStop in our area back when I was in that area, you know, over by where all the like where the Kroger and the Best Buy and stuff was. There was a GameStop there. I think Game Exchange was also there later on, but that GameStop there, I would like go there so many times, and then I'd be like, "Hey, do you have like this specific game?" And then they would have to spend literally like I shit you not, because I had my dad fucking put on a timer on his phone, and it took like 21 minutes for them
Jesus.
to look around the entire store and look all around in the back, only to be like, "Yeah, we don't really have it." And the thing was, before we even went there, we called them ahead of time to be like, hey, fucking, do you have this game over there at your shop? And instead of looking around for it then and there, they were like, you're gonna have to like come to the store and see it ourselves, because I don't think we were talking like to the store specifically. I don't know how it all worked. I was just a kid then. I was a tiny tyke, so like my dad didn't want to fuck around with it at all. But I was a little kid and I whined, so we went eventually. So stuff like this seems like it might help with stuff like that in particular. So maybe we won't run into issues like that anymore. Maybe people will know what they have in their stores at all times.
Yeah, and I mean, it might be wishful thinking for GameStop, but like, say what you want about whether you like the Xbox platform. Microsoft's not a fucking like they're not dumbasses. Like they got where they were because like they have some decently good tech. Like Windows has some issues, but like it's still a good platform.
I
And
mean,
I think
most computers use Windows as their operating system, right?
yeah, pretty much. So like, and even things like Microsoft Teams, I used to use that at my last job, and it was really good. It's like having that kind of like the thing I enjoy is well, the thing I enjoy, and I'm kind of like not sure how it'll work is the Microsoft Surface devices. Like
Mm-hmm.
theoretically, it's like it'd be cool that they don't have to like be behind the counter. There can be someone just chilling there and be like, oh, let me look this up real quick. But it's like the stores are so small that I feel like half the time the people behind the counter just yell, like just talk to me behind the counter anyway, and then they just like look at the stuff. Like we don't have to yell or anything. So it's like I'm not really sure like how it's gonna work, but I could see it. I could see it working on like a Black Friday or like day after Christmas or something, like where the lines are really long,
Mm-hmm.
and like because there's always a guy standing there like, hey, what do you want? And then you tell them and they go and get the game for you real quick, so that when you get to the counter you just check out. I feel like that if that guy had a Surface, he could also be like, okay, let's see if we have it in stock real quick, kind of
Right.
thing. So like that could help. It's just like on a normal day basis, I'm not really sure how much it's gonna help, but I'm sure it'll be enough. Like maybe there'll be one person out there just kind of chilling, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every little bit helps.
And I'm definitely hyped about the Xbox All Access thing. As before,
Yeah.
you would have to go to like a Microsoft store or like go online and do that. So it's hyped that like you can go to GameStop and sign up for that. My bad. Uh,
Yeah, that
yeah, it's
seems
pretty
really
dope.
neat. I think that's like one of the main points that people talk about was the whole all access deal, and I think that's like the main. I think that was like the main draw for GameStop when they made this deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's good for GameStop because they get a little bit of cut out of that pie, like they get a little bit of profit off of that, so it's got to be good for them. Like their shares, like their stocks have already like I don't want to say skyrocketed, but like they've improved a little bit after this acquisition. So I don't know. I've never really thought GameStop was gonna die. Like I guess I just don't follow that kind of like hype everyone's like it's definitely on its downfall, but I've always figured GameStop will find some way to survive as long as physical media still exists. And I think
Mm-hmm.
this is one of their ways. Like I do think GameStop because of this will be around for a good while longer. Like I think the only day they actually die is when physical media stops, existing. And even then there's going to be like pre-owned and shit, but
Yeah.
then they might just not die because they might turn into like an old retro store. I mean, who knows, but I don't think GameStop will ever actually die. It'll just, suffer, cancel some stores, but it's good to see that they're still because I don't want GameStop to die. I really don't. As dumb as some of their business practices are, I don't want them to die. So it's kind of good to see that they're doing something. Microsoft's helping a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Excuse me. Um. Hold on, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, a truck zoomed by and I lost my train of thought real fast. But I was
it,
I was gonna add to it a little bit. I feel like GameStop's fucking quote inevitable death unquote uh was not really something I particularly agreed with either. Like they definitely seem to be on on greatly on the old decline for a little while now. Like I haven't gone to I personally haven't gone to a GameStop or interacted with a GameStop at all in many a years.
Mm.
I feel like GameStop's ultimate fate, because they're kind of like kind of like arm in arm with Microsoft right now, and that's keeping them afloat. I feel like what's going to happen with GameStop is that like either A, they'll become like another like retro store kind of thing, but you've already got a bunch of other businesses that like do that on the regular, or B, I feel like they are gonna like fade away, but they aren't really gonna die. They're just gonna become like they're gonna become something else. Like they're gonna
Yeah.
like especially with like technological advancements and stuff. If they like integrate more with all of that, and like they themselves focus less on like physical media and stuff. If they do go down that route, if they wind up taking that direction, through any number of ways, any number of reasons, they may like become something completely different, and they may actually rise up again as like this fucking new giant fucking like conglomerate of like fucking digital media instead. Like they'll be
Yeah.
reborn like a phoenix from the ashes.
Yeah, I think even if GameStop went bankrupt, I think they would still come back. Like, even there's talks of Toys R Us coming back too. Like, I
Oh
think it
no
was
shit,
supposed.
really?
Yeah, I think they were like rebranding as like Jeffrey's World or something. Like there was
Oh
talks.
shit, you get to see
I
Jeffrey again.
I think it was like ceased because of like the monster of 2020. But like last I'd heard that they were bringing it back. They were working on a new business model. So like I think GameStop, even if they went bankrupt and like they did whatever, they would come back. Like they definitely would not just be like, okay, we're done now. Like GameStop's always going to exist in some kind of fashion, whether it's also whether or not they take some digital route and they're like, okay, well, we're gonna find some way to make you want to pre-order your digital games here. You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. Our next news story is really not that much of a story, but that's all we got this week. Sony announced their confirmed list of games that will not run on the PlayStation 5. Are you ready for this, Andrew?
The fact that you're asking me personally tells me that I may have some sort of vented interest in this. So yeah, go ahead.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Afro Samurai 2, DWVR,
No, not
Hitman.
DWVR. Son of a bitch.
Hitman Go Definitive Edition, Joe's Diner, Just Deal With It, TT Isle of Man, Robinson The Journey, Shadow Complex Remastered, and Shadwin. Those are the games that will not work on PlayStation 5. What a good news story we have here.
I've gotta say, I have heard of absolutely none of these.
Yeah, me neither. Like, it kind of surprises me a little bit. Like, I don't know why those games in specific. Like, if there was going to be any games that didn't work, I expected it to be like a Skylanders or like a Rock Band, things that need peripherals. But, like, no, those work apparently. They're saying 99.9% of games, like 99% of games are going to,
Those other
work.
games listed were just so obscure, no one wanted to bother.
I guess so.
No one cared.
It just makes me wonder why those games out of like everything else. I can think of some stinky duty PSN games I own that apparently they're saying those work. But
Hey, you never know. This might vest some interest in those list of games and make them all cult classics, because people are like, well, I have to know now why these games won't work for the PS5. Why were they abandoned?
Why doesn't Joe's Diner work?
Joe's Diner's a great fucking game. What the hell?
A few of those are like PlayStation VR games as well, which kind of like has me wondering, but
I'm still pissed about DWVR.
I feel that, man. But yeah, I mean, there's been some other things happening this week. Like Sony did their breakdown of the teardown of the PS5. There's not really much to report on there though. Like, I mean, it looks pretty cool, but it's like I feel like we already knew what was in the system. It's just now we get to see like I think it was like liquid metal cooling and like the whole cooler there. That seemed pretty cool. They, I think someone found the list of like Sony approved SSDs, and people were mad that they're expensive, but it's like it's not a Sony thing, you know. It's like people were mad like a week or so ago when the Xbox like SSD came out and that was expensive, and they were like, "Oh, it's just Microsoft jacking up the price." But now it comes out and Sony's like, "Yeah, these are the ones that work." Sony doesn't make those SSDs, but those are the ones you can use on the PS5, and those are expensive too. That's just because like M.2 like NVMe tech is it's expensive, you know. Like even people that build PCs know that those are gonna cost you like a good bit of money, you know. Because even when you buy a PC, you don't really. That's the thing about this whole SSD future is like not a lot of people, even when they build computers, not a lot of people use only SSD. Like they'll get an SSD to put the operating system on, and then they'll just run their games off a hard drive, you know. So it's like when you get a console and you're talking about having that whole thing be SSD, that's going to cost you some money. And I think having these consoles might take that SSD price down a little bit, you know, because a lot of people will be buying them, but it's still a lot of money. Like these things still cost a good chunk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
And with that, I guess we can move on to our main topic today, boys.
Yes, let us.
Since it was kind of a slow news week, I decided I wanted to do our main topic just be an early impressions on a game that like I don't know if it just came out. Like I think it might have been in beta for a while or something. Might have been hyped up, but I think it just kind of like started getting big. I see everyone kind of talking about it now. It's like this big thing, and it's free. So I figured it was a perfect game to get me and Andrew to play. Just play a little bit of, play a few hours, and give our early impressions.
A few hours.
For some of us, a few hours. For others, a few lifetimes.
The entire week.
So with that, here's our I guess our first early, well, for me, early impressions. For Andrew, impressions of Genshin Impact. Take it away, Andrew.
Are you sure you don't want to go first? Because you haven't gotten as far as I have.
Okay, I mean, I guess. So I've beat the third shrine, I guess you could call it. Like the temples,
The
I
domains?
guess is what they're calling them. Domain? Is it domains? It's like it's
The
when that
domains.
dragons. Yeah, it's when the dragon's coming around, and then like you meet a bunch of new people, and then they're like, "Go talk to so and so at this temple thing."
Yeah, and then go do what is basically a Breath of the Wild shrine.
Yeah, they're pretty much shrines.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've gotten to I think I'm on that. I assume there's 4, so I'm on that 4th one now. I haven't started. I've done 3 of them, so I mean I've played a good 2-3 hours of the game already.
2 and 3 hours.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mister. Like 60-hour, like
More like 83. Yeah, I'm proud of the fact that I've wasted so much time.
Has it really been fucking 83 hours?
I don't know, maybe. It's been many days, so I wouldn't be surprised. It's not like I've played them the entire day, because I usually don't start until like after dinner time, which is anywhere from like 6 to 8 p.m., and then I always get off at like 1 a.m. So still a number of hours.
Jesus, I thought like you actually knew it was 83 hours.
No. No, I'm not that crazy.
I literally just hit Andrew up and was like, "Hey, you know, this game there's this game Genshin Impact. Like, you should maybe play it a little bit." Hold on, I have the messages literally like right here. So it was like, "Yo, there's not much news." Actually, wait. The first one was play Genshin Impact. It's free on PC. That's literally all I said. And I said it's a cool anime Breath of the Wild. And he's like, anime Breath of the Wild does sound pretty cool. And then a couple days later, I'm like, you know what? There's not much news. So let's just play Genshin Impact this week and have first impressions. And he's like, all right, And then now the dude's like literally probably has like 50 hours in the
game. This time I was the one who kept you up to date.
Honestly.
I was like, hey, how much of it have you played yet? Because I didn't want to like get into like a bunch of like fucking like spoiler territory or anything. I didn't want to like talk about certain plot things or whatever if you hadn't like gotten there yet. But this was supposed to be like first impressions anyway, so I know like we're really gonna get into a lot of spoiler stuff. But I ramble, so I wanted to have a contingency plan for that.
I mean, it's like I don't want to make you feel bad for playing a lot of it, like because like it was supposed to be early impressions. But I still like intended on playing like a good chunk of the game because like it looked good to me. But it's like I booted it up I think 5 days ago and I started playing it and I didn't vibe with it as much. Like I'm playing on PS4, you're playing on PC.
Yeah.
So like it ran a little weird on PS4 and it just like I
it
wasn't
runs weird
vibing.
Here too.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, I'll get into that later, don't worry.
Okay. So it's like I wasn't vibing with it as much, so I kind of just turned it off. I think it's like right as I got to the bow chick.
Amber?
Yeah. So like right when I got to her, I kind of turned it off. And so from today I played from that point to the 4th domain. And then I just like it got a little better, but like the main thing that I keep coming back to that I'm not enjoying as much is the combat. I don't know how much more like complex it gets. I mean, it's a free game, but it's like it's free, but it's like it's a full RPG, like that it's pretty apparent that it's a full RPG, but it has those microtransactions, So like I kind of want to like take it easy because it's free, but also it's like it's a full game. I can definitely kind of like hate on it a little bit. So like the combat so far at least isn't very that complex. Like it's more of just me pressing circle and then maybe I'm pressing R2 and like triangle every once in a while once that one kind of like 2-minute
your
timer.
Ult.
Yeah, pretty much like triangle's your ult. So it's like other than that it's like you're pressing circle and then maybe you're pressing R2 for like a little bit of like a power move, but like your main move is only circle. So it's like it gets kind of repetitive, and I get you can switch to different characters to use different powers, but it's not really. Once like getting to like the 4th domain, it got kind of old. Like I enjoyed when you get the glider and everything, like that was kind of cool, and I like the chick that has the like the magic, like the
Lisa
lightning chick. Yeah, Lisa. Like she's cool, but it's like. I do kind of like how that one dude, like the ice dude,
Kaya.
like I do like how
I know
they
all
kind
the
of
names.
You really do. I'm like, damn, you know all this shit. But I like how they played on elements a little bit. Like they had that part where it's like, oh, if you break the stone, it's raining, so that'll put out the fire slimes a little bit, enough for that dude to go in and freeze them. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like you can also freeze the water to like walk on the platforms, and then also use the water a little bit with Lisa so that she can like electric shock people a little bit more. Like that stuff's kind of cool.
But, yeah, like, I will say that when things open up a lot more, you'll have more enemies and shit, and they'll all have, most of them at least, the hilly curls will have like basic bitch enemies that aren't really aligned with anything, but a lot of other enemies like the slimes and these flower dudes and stuff, they will generally be associated with all the different elements, and a lot of the excuse me, a lot of the interest from like the combat is sort of assessing the elements that you have and the elements that they're aligned with, and then like kind of playing with that a little bit. Like if there are guys who are like water guys, you can freeze them and stuff, like you said, with like when the slimes get rained on and stuff, they get the wet effect. If you have the wet effect, then you can get frozen when hit with ice attacks and stuff, and that's kind of cool when you're fighting enemies. But when enemies are fighting you, it gets really fucking annoying, and I hate it. And it's easily one of my least favorite like types of enemies in the game, like the enemies that can fucking freeze you and shit. But yeah, there's a lot of like the elemental play and stuff, and I think that's where it starts to open up a lot more. Like, it's not going to get much more complicated than what you described just now, but the elements make it kind of cool. Although, really, if we're being honest, you can really use the wind element that your character has in order to kind of decimate shit. Like, if you take out Amber and you're in a grassy area, you can use her like fire stuff to light the grass on fire, and then you can switch to your wind guy, and then you can use that wind blade, and the wind catches the fire, and you can fucking destroy shit with that, and it's really neat to pull off. But like, it also kind of breaks stuff some of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the way they play on the elements is kind of cool. Like, I'm not gonna lie, but it's just like there's not that much more complexity to the like combat besides that so far. Like, I found like some of the enemy types so far, like this is very like early on in the game, so I'm sure you're gonna be like, oh, they fixed that like 10 hours in, like that's cool. But like so far, like where I'm at, like I'm hating the guys with the shield, because I feel like
They're kind of
there's
annoying.
yeah, it's like there's no way to really counter them. They're just kind of like annoying to be annoying. It's like, I know that Amber can, like, it's Amber, I don't know.
Amber,
But
it's with an A. Yeah,
okay.
she can use the fire to light those shields on fire because they're wooden.
Like,
I will say that you can actually like do the quick dash around during combat. So if you really don't want to switch your character and wait for the charge shot, you can just dash behind them and then start attacking them from behind a couple of strikes, and you can just keep kind of juggling with that back and forth.
I guess that would kind of help my problem with that then, but yeah, just go ahead and give your early impressions. I'll kind of like chime in a little bit, like where I feel like I can. So just go ahead and like start from the beginning. Like, just give like your overall kind of like experience with the game.
All right, so the game starts off like I think it's like this Genshin Impact is like kind of part of a whole gacha like game series, because I think like the other one was like Hoishin Impact or something, and
I think my girlfriend's been playing Genshin a lot. She talked about like some weird card mobile gacha game like Hoishin Impact or something that she used to play.
So I think the protagonists and stuff are like kind of from like that game or any of the other previous games in this series, if it's a series. I don't know. I only know Genshin, so forgive me if I'm not caught up on the lore. But when you start the game, it kind of just opens up with this brother and sister fighting this fucking like god lady or whatever, and like so you're kind of like dropped right into it, and like, if you haven't really known anything about like the previous lore or entries, you're kind of left in the dark, because I don't think a lot of stuff is explained, unless this is like, not connected. Like, this takes place like sometime after like the last thing, and this is this completely new thing that's happening. I don't know. I might never know. But like the fact that it drops you into this stuff, like this fucking epic fight scene or whatever, is kind of cool. But I don't like the fact that I don't understand what's happening. But it looks cool, so I'm like, all right, I'm all for it. And like it's interesting like how like at a certain point it pauses and you kind of like decide what your protagonist is gonna be. And I thought that was a neat enough little like character selection basically.
Yeah.
I chose the male because that's what I identify as.
I chose the female. I choose the lolly all day long.
That's your prerogative.
Bro, if you're playing an anime game, you gotta play as the anime girls, man. Anime titties for life. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's what I have all the other characters for. Plus, I like the guy's hair. I like the guy's hair. What I didn't like though was the fucking like his outfit. Like it's got like kind of like the midriff thing going on, and I didn't really vibe with that. I didn't really vibe with that particular aspect of his design. but otherwise it's fairly harmless. One complaint that I do have about this so far is that I wish you had like costumes, or at least other, like, not so much like a bunch of different clothes like you could in Breath of the Wild, but at least like different outfits to put on your character specifically, so that way you can change up his appearance a little bit. I don't know, I think that would be neat, because I want to have different outfits and stuff. I don't want my changes in appearance to be relegated to like the different characters that I'll switch to, because that's nice and that's fun and I like doing that, but I also like being the guy who's supposed to be me, and I don't know, I like having a change up in how, your character looks from time to time, especially in like big RPGs and stuff. I don't know, it's just I like having something different to look at. So you select your character, this whole fight scene happens. Depending on who you select, which of the siblings you pick, the other sibling, gets taken away from you, and then you're in this like strange world, and you have this like cute little companion named Paimon, who's a lot of fun to bully. uh, I like her. I like her as a travel companion.
Yeah, Paimon was alright.
Yeah, I liked her. I liked her. She was pretty neat. But
It's like she kind of just does like that anime thing where it's like, I played usually like, so I guess kind of like back like inside between like me and Andrew's kind of like what's the word, background with this type of stuff. Like I'm a big anime like weeb. Like I really enjoy anime and all that, and like Andrew really like I'm sure he's watched a couple anime, but he
I
really
liked
likes
Konosuba.
JRPGs. Konosuba.
Yeah, I like that one.
So yeah, he's watched like one or two, but like he really likes JRPGs. For me, whenever I play something Japanese, I usually play it like in Japanese, like Ghost of Tsushima, all
Mm-hmm.
Japanese voice acting for me. Like I really enjoy kind of like when I play a Japanese game or an anime game, like I'll put it in Japanese. For this, I kind of just played in English, so like the voice acting kind of does that weird kind of like anime girl, like really hopeful kind of like voice acting. It's like it's not a slight to the voice actors, but it's like it gets a little old, kinda.
Mm.
And it's like Paimon does a thing where like she'll say her name in third person. I'm like it gets old after a little bit, especially if you watch a lot of anime. But it's like I don't know.
And I don't, so I'm safe from this rule. Nah, for me, with that kind of stuff, like sub or dub, basically, I don't know, it really depends. Like, when I watch something or when I play something that's from Japan, I'll usually gauge viewer feedback on, like, how good the dub is or something, or, like, if the sub is just all around better. Like, stuff with Konosuba, there wasn't a dub available at the time when I watched it, so I just watched it as a sub, and I can't remember the name of Kazuma's voice actor, but I love him. I love him so much. And the fucking English dub, he does his own little thing with it, and that's all right. I don't dislike it, but like I've heard the sub first, so I'm more attached to that.
Yeah, that's kind of how it be.
Yeah, so it's usually what either like I'll either listen to what other people think first, or like, depending on what's available is what I'll listen to first. Like with the Persona series, I listen to the English dubs of that, so when I hear the Japanese voices for it, like I just don't get as into it, really. And that's interesting to me. So it was kind of the same effect for Genshin Impact. I was sure that it had like the option to like, have it dubbed in Japanese and maybe other languages, but I didn't see that option in the options until like 30 hours in. So by that point,
Mm.
all the English voices I had already been listening to, and they have already grown on me. So like I'm not really bothered by some of the, like, I guess potentially more annoying, or at least more weird in some places when it comes to the voice direction. Uh, but yeah, that's my whole 2 cents on the voice thing. So with that rant being over, you start off in the world, and you kind of move around and stuff. I will say that the exploration is fun enough, but I don't like, at least in this particularly in the beginning of the game, I'm not big on how restrictive it can be, because you got the map and then you have like the red areas around the map, and if you go over to those areas, Paimon shows up and she's like, hey, let's slow your fucking roll there, bud, let's come back to this at a later point. So like there was like this one point where like this would have been so cool if it just let me do this. I can understand why it doesn't, because it's has a much more like bigger focus on story than something like Breath of the Wild did, where it had a story, but you could kind of like piece it together in your own way. Like you could go to any of the four like divine beasts or whatever in whatever order you wanted. But for this game, it's a little different because it has like a direct narrative and story that it wants to tell. So I can understand it. But there was this one moment where I was on this like big old cliff and stuff, and it was in an area that I technically wasn't supposed to be in yet either, because like when it gave me the area introduction, like it shows you the name of the area on screen. It had this fucking like highly dangerous written underneath it, and I was like, oh, okay. Uh, but I was on this big old cliff, like facing out on the ocean, and I saw this island over there, and I was like, I wonder if I can go to that. So I like because I had my glider at that like later on. I didn't get to do it immediately, but I kept that in my mind, and then I got the glider, and the first thing I wanted to do was go over there to that area. I wanted to go over to that island and see what was on there. So I jumped up, used my glider, and I was like sailing on over there, and I maybe could have made it. I think I actually might have possibly been able to make it, but as I went towards the red dot, like, Paimon showed up, and then like I don't like how it forcefully takes control of your character when you're going into an area that you're not technically supposed to, and turns you around, and you have no control over like moving left or right or anything if you're going into any oncoming danger. So like, at that point I obviously couldn't recover, I was too far gone, but it does that in domains too, where you ride certain air currents and you're like, I want to see if there's any hidden chest on these roofs. So you go onto these roofs, and then there's like a very specific area in those roofs where it'll do that to you, and it'll forcefully turn your character around and make them walk like 17 dozen steps like immediately behind them, and they'll just walk straight off the edge, and you have no control over it at all, and that's annoying.
Yeah, I think the obvious comparison is definitely Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Breath of the Wild without committing to be Breath of the Wild, which isn't really a bad thing. Like I don't I don't know. Like I hate comparing games. Like I talk about it. I've talked about it in this pod before, and like there's a whole script I'm writing about Assassin's Creed Ghost of Tsushima shit, where I talk about like I don't like comparing games, because then you just get trapped in this whole kind of spectrum of like, oh, this is just game 2 instead of being a completely different game. That being said, this does take like just like a lot of games are now. Like we're seeing that with the Gods and Monsters, now known as Immortals Phoenix Rising and all that. Like a lot of games are just like Witcher 3 was kind of like the base point for people to make games like that. Breath of the Wild is kind of becoming that game. Mm-hmm. So it's like I can't really fault it, but I feel like this does enough different to where it's like,
yeah,
I feel like it's definitely taking cues from it, like with the glider and the open world kind of like looking like it, and like the straight up shrines. But it's also like you said, like it doesn't commit to that full on open world, like you see it, go do it. But I don't think that's a bad thing. Like I think it can be annoying for sure to limit like what you can do. Mm-hmm. But I also like I don't inherently hate that it's different from Breath of the Wild, like I don't inherently like I think it helps a little bit kind of like differentiate, like, okay, Breath of the Wild was it had a story, go beat Ganon, like you'll find some cutscenes along the way if you stumble across them, but ultimately you're just beating Ganon, so go do what you want to do, tackle those 4 divine beasts the way you want to do it. This is like, we have a story in our open world, but like this is what we want to do with it. So like I can't, but it is kind of like I'm back and forth on it, because I like that it's different, but it's also it is more restrictive than say like even a Witcher 3 or Ghost of Tsushima, like once you got to the open world, it's like it's kind of like more restrictive in that way. Like, no, we need you to go here, kind of thing. Whereas in Witcher
Mm.
3, like I think once you start riding with Vesemir, like you could probably go where you wanted to go, you know, kind of like you wouldn't want to because the open world in that game isn't amazing. Don't hate me, The Witcher 3 is my favorite game of all time, but that open world isn't spectacular. But like
How could you?
I know, man. But it's like that's why I compare Witcher 3 and Ghost of Tsushima a lot because I think Ghost has an amazing open world and a fun story, and Witcher 3 has an amazing story and, you know, a fun open world. So it's like one thing is amazing, one thing is just fun about each game, you know.
Mm.
Side tangent aside, basically what I'm saying is like, yeah, I like that it's not fully committing to Breath of the Wild, but I also like I wish it kind of would commit at the same time, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, like, you know, I get it, because, you know, it has it has a full story that it wants to tell, so there may be areas that you really shouldn't be like poking around in yet and all that, and so, you know, I obviously get it. I do kind of wish, like, if they were gonna take that approach, like, maybe they could have taken some time to be like, all right. uh, if they were gonna do stuff like that, maybe they could have like taken some time to try and be a little bit smarter about it. Like, you know, like for certain areas, like, you know, being on like really high up cliffs that it's going to be impossible for you to get up there as you are now with how much stamina you have at this moment, or like in certain areas the enemies are like, you know, fucking like ludicrously tough and shit like that. Like, but with something like that, you could probably still run through the enemies and stuff. I don't know. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not an ideas man.
if they were gonna do that, like it's weird, right? Because the beginning of a game is usually always, unless you're Breath of the Wild, is usually always like, all right, we're gonna teach you the game. This is like the big opening segment, and then you go into what you're doing. But most games start that opening segment kind of like in a battle or like in some big way to where you can tell that the world is closed off, like Ghost of Tsushima that like I just brought up, for example. You start the game at the battle of Komoda Beach. You're obviously not gonna go an open world at that battle, you know, like you're not gonna wander. So like in your brain, you know, like, okay, I need to fight this battle. This is what I want to do and what I need to do, kind of thing. And then once you get out of that, you're sneaking around, you're getting your gear, and then you're going out. Then it opens up that open world, like it kind of like, you haven't played it, but it does this thing where like as you're riding, like the camera pans out a little bit, it shows that the logo and it kind of shows you the world, and you're like, oh, okay, now if I wanted to, I can go and explore all this shit.
Mm.
And this, it's kind of like you're plopped into the open world that you can see is open, and then it just tells you to walk, you know? So it's like it doesn't really have this, like, if you're catching what I'm saying, like it doesn't really have this defining thing to tell you that you shouldn't want to walk around the open world, right?
Right.
It's making you think it's Breath of the Wild, like with that, oh, I'll just go where I want to go. But it doesn't have that inciting incident that makes you want to do the story right away.
Yeah. Because when you start off on Genshin, you know, it's basically you telling your story to good old Paimon, and then she's like, "Hey, there's this fucking place called Mondstadt over yonder. How about we go there?" So it gives you a direction of where to go, but, you know, beyond that, like, you immediately start off by, like, you know, being in a more open area. So, you know, there are some things available to you, like that fucking Storm Peak Plains or whatever it's called. That was the highly dangerous area. It gives you a direction as to where to go, but you're still in a more like open place. But it does get restrictive in a lot of areas. I will say that it does start to open up a lot more the further in you get. Like, I think at a certain point you'll like get access to a whole new like region, a whole new like basically country, I guess. And I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm sorry. It's like Leeway or something, but like I think it's like Chinese inspired, so it has that certain pronunciation to it that I can't get down. So I apologize
Mm.
for not being able to pull that off. But it's that there's that whole place, and like Mondstadt and that whole place, it has a lot to do with Animo or the power of wind. But Leeway has a lot to do with Geo, the power of rock, and it has its own set of statues that you can go and activate. Uh, and those statues, you can actually use those to change your character's power from Animo to Geo, so you can have rock powers, which I was not as fond of. I because the wind's really powerful. I like the wind blade so much more, but that region is fucking big. I can attest to that because I think I messaged you on Discord when I was checking up on your progress. I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's cool. I've almost explored every region there is or every part of the region there is cuz I just spent the day going to all the towers and activating them and going to get all the waystones. And I maybe that's a strength that this game has because I did actively want to like go around and like actually like explore shit. I wanted to like fill in that map and stuff. I don't know why, but with games like Breath of the Wild and like even Assassin's Creed with its synchronization points, there's just something so satisfying about opening up more of a map that's previously like closed off to you. Like I
Mm.
like just knowing like I think it's like when the map gets revealed and then it shows stuff like waystones you can go to and all that. And it's like, oh, it gives you that feeling of progress. Like, oh, these things are opened up and I can do these things now. Look at all of them laid out before me. You could technically do all these things before, but now you see them. They're there in front of you, and it's magical. At least to
Yeah.
me.
I've always really enjoyed, especially in Assassin's Creed, how they always like they usually make you do that like that first synchronization. Like I feel like that always kind of like gets it in perspective. Like you start the game, you're doing some big thing. Like with Black Flag, I really enjoyed it because you're going around like you doing the ship battles, and then you go into the ocean, and then you wash up, and then you're following like the assassin, and then you kind of just take a moment and you go on top try to find him, and then you do that synchronization, you kind of like get the lay of the land, and then when you get to Nassau, like not Nassau, it's I forgot where you go, Havana, you go there, and like you do that first one around there, and it's like this big cinematic thing, like you're getting the bearings, like you're seeing kind of like the world. I've always really enjoyed that type of stuff in Assassin's Creed, and I know a lot of people don't because it's like check marky, but like it always just felt really cool to me.
Yeah. Oh wait, that's some I guess missed potential. When you go in Genshin Impact, when you like go to these statues and activate them to reveal more of the map, like the cutscene that plays for that is basically just the statue being activated, and then it shows you on the map. But with things like Assassin's Creed and Breath of the Wild, I know I'm comparing this game to a lot of other games. Um, Sorry, that's just it. Point of reference, it's easy. But for those games, whenever you like did those things, when you went to those towers, when you went to those synchronization points, it had like this, like it had this more like grand moment. Like in Assassin's Creed, like when you're on a synchronization point, it like gives you like a whole like fucking like what kind of shot do you call it when it like sort of like pans around like all around you, showing the area
So
around you?
panoramic, maybe, I don't know.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that as the name. Um, so in Assassin's Creed you have that. Breath of the Wild, like it also does this like really big zoom out. For Genshin Impact though, it just shows the statue being activated and then it shows you the map. So I wish what like maybe what it could have done is it like could have shown like the statue being activated and stuff, and then it like gives this like sort of like aura or energy. Like for the Animo statues, it'd be this like sort of like light blue green kind of stuff, and for Geo it would be all this yellow stuff, and it would like have that from emanating from the statue, and then it would like pull like blow off from the statue. It would like pulse away, and then like it would pulse over the land, so it would start showing you like the land, like various bits of the landscape as the energy sort of like flowed over it. And like maybe for
Mm.
like the waystones, if there were waystones in view, like it would have like highlighted would have gone over the waystones and like highlighted them, so like it could draw your attention to those, and you would be like, oh, okay, these areas, like the way these areas look, there's a waystone there, I can probably go check that out later. Something like that, at least something to show you like the area after you've activated the stone, other than just revealing the map.
Yeah, I mean those stones are honestly kind of lame. I'm not gonna lie, like they're kind of just, even like the fast travel ones, you kind of just click them and they're like, oh, okay, and you
Yeah.
just walk away. Like there's no like sense of wonder or anything.
Yeah, for something like the Waystones, I can kind of see that because, like, it makes things faster, more, like, convenient. Because I know for someone like me who has a low attention span, that can be that can be a bit of an issue. So I like going up and just pressing a thing and being like, okay, I got it now. But for something like the full on like statues of the Sevens, they reveal the map and stuff. So I feel like there should be something a little more grand for that. But I don't know, because it plays like a cutscene anyways for stuff like that, but it's just really lame by comparison.
Yeah, that's kind of like, honestly, like, I was gonna say like that's the whole game is lame by comparison, but like
Motherfucker.
I'm struggling with it. No, like I'm struggling with it because I don't hate it. I think I might enjoy it, but I'm still struggling with the fact that like now that like I'm not forced to play it for the show, I don't know if I'm going to. Like I might pick it up again this week, but like I don't know if I'm going to play it after not be like when I'm not forced to play it for the show. So like that I think is the real testament, and is if I enjoy it is like if I play it just randomly, if I pick it up. It's like there's always gonna be, because like my girlfriend plays it, so like I'm always gonna look over at her screen and be like, I should be playing this. Like I want to play more of it, but I don't really know how long it's gonna pull me in for, because it didn't really do much for me. Like I respect it, and I think it's cool. I think there's aspects of it that are cool, but it just kind of, and I hate to say it, like I don't want to be hard on this game because I hate comparisons, but it's like if I wanted to play this type of game, I might just go play Breath of the Wild. Like so far there's some things I like about it, but if it costs money, I wouldn't buy it. You know, I don't know if you can go into how you find the value in this game, like if you would buy it, like if you had the money to buy it. But like for me, it's like I probably wouldn't. Like I'll play it because it's free now, but like if it costs money, there's not a lot that makes me go like, man, this game looks really cool. Like you can do this, you can do this. It's like Breath of the Wild, but you have all these like little things. It's like, no, it just like it's a fun free. I keep burping. It's a fun free, I guess, JRPG, but it's not really JRPG. It's just an RPG from a Japanese company, I guess. But it's just like a fun Breath of the Wild clone with like some anime stuff in it. That's fun, but it's like there's not a lot there that's really pushing the boundaries for me. So I don't know if I like it or hate it at this point. Like I don't know how I feel about it. It's just kind of meh. Like I didn't hate the time I spent with it, but I didn't, like, I definitely turned it off after that third, like, I forgot what you call them already. I don't care. Like after that third shrine. So I don't know. I might not go back to it. I'm kind of just feeling very, very meh on it.
I think that part of that mentality of feeling like, I more or less, like, going by your words, like feeling forced to play it for the show, not that you would have been like forced anyways, but just feeling like it's something that you have to push through and do, so that way you have something to talk about, that might have something to do with it. Like I know that's,
well, it's like I wanted to play it, but it's like I never felt forced. Like I definitely had to sit down and be like, all right, let's buckle and play this before the show today. But it's like there was never like it was never a nag, I guess, if you get what I mean. It's like the show, what I meant by that is like the show gave me a reason to play it. Like, it wasn't like the show was forcing me by my throat to like play it, but it's like I knew we had to talk about it, so I had a reason to play it this week, if you get what I mean, because I was interested in the game and I wanted to see what it was about. So
Hmm.
because we have to talk about it for the show, I'm like, okay, I need to get this done. I need to play a little bit of it, see how I feel about it. But now that like the show's not like, so we're not gonna do another Genshin episode. So it's like, because of that, is there gonna be something driving me to play it?
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I don't know, man. Because for me, it was kind of the opposite. Like, I wasn't like, oh, I guess I have to do this now, God. But like, when you called attention to it for me, it's like, hey, fucking, there's this free game, go play it, and maybe we can like talk about it for this show or something. And I was like, I mean, yeah, sure, I guess it's free. I'll pick it up. I wasn't really like invested in it at all. Like, I wasn't really like super interested in playing it. But then that push was given to me, and then I went and then I played it, and I've spent many hours now. So for me, I guess it had like the exact opposite effect that it had for you. Because you were saying that you were like interested enough in like playing the game before the whole like show thing, but then the show also gave like the push to really play it, and then it didn't really grab you all that well. And then me, like, the show gave me the push to play it, but I wasn't really interested in it initially, and now I'm super interested in it. So I don't know. It's just kind of weird. It went in like completely opposite directions here.
Yeah. So I guess something else I was saying that maybe you could touch on. If you had the money in your hand right now, say it was $40, based on everything you've played, like, okay, it's like I know you like it, so you're probably going to say you would buy it, but I guess like looking on the outside, right? Could you convince someone like to pay $40 for it? Would you feel like dipping your toes in for $40 versus Breath of the Wild, which is on sale for 40, right? Like, I guess maybe
Hmm.
that's an unfair comparison to
I
add to
haven't
the
played Breath of the
argument, but
Wild, so I
like,
couldn't really give a fair estimate on that.
true, I guess. But like, I guess all I'm getting at is this: if it wasn't free, if it was a $40 game, based on like everything we know about it, do you feel like there's enough value there to justify the cost?
Um, for $40 and not like a full retail price. Yeah, I'd say so. There's it has I think one of the big issues, right, is that it has a lot of growing pains. It really takes a while to like kind of really get into it because it has like, obviously it's this JRPG driven style story, but it's in an open world setting. So people who've played open world games, they're gonna expect to be allowed a lot more freedom than this game gives you. Not that it doesn't give you a ton of freedom, but you are restricted in where you can go and what you can do. Especially for like the beginning like chapters, I guess, like all the way through dealing with the storm terror domains. Because like I think after that point is the point where it really starts to open up. I don't know when exactly after that point I was able to go to like leeway and stuff and do all that, but it was sometime after that. I think I had to do like one like sort of like side quest before I was really able to like go down there because it dealt with a character who was important to that like region. Um, so that might have been at that point, but it does open up a lot at that point, and there is a lot of stuff to do. Obviously, if I spend so much time on it, there's stuff to occupy you for sure. Uh, it, I will say that, yeah, growing pains is like the biggest issue because I was like, I think I complained to you. I actually complained to you that like, I finally, I finally got the option for co-op at like Adventure Rank 15, and Adventure ranks take a good little bit to level up. Although maybe I
Yeah,
was just trying
I'm
to like
on
level it
6,
up.
I think.
Yeah, maybe I was trying to level up the rank like way too early in the game, because I maybe like you when you progress more of the story, more stuff opens up. There's more stuff to do to increase your adventure rank. The Adventurers Guild starts giving you commissions and stuff to do, and it gives you that adventure book, which has like a bunch of chapters filled with like different tasks for you to do, and then those give you a good bit of adventure points and other rewards for each time. So maybe I was just doing shit way too early, but I think even when I had all that shit, like all that access available to me, it took a good little bit to really move up in those adventure ranks, and it's fine for where I'm at in the game right now, because it's gotta be able to put a decent little cap on your on how overpowered you can get with your levels and your weapons, because it does have level and weapon caps. You have to like every like 20 levels, I think. Every 20 levels you can ascend to the next rank, which allows you to go up another 20 levels from 20 to 40. But for you have to be like a certain adventure rank in order to be able to get to that point. Anyways, like when you get to that max level, it says you have to be a certain adventure rank in order to get to that next level. So I can understand stuff like that, but for other things it feels like, you're locked off by your adventure rank and stuff. Even the story locks you off. Like where I'm at right now, the main story, I'm kind of locked off from that until I get to like adventure rank 23 or something. And it takes it's a bit of a grind. So that's probably one of the big gripes that I have with the game right now, is that I'm not a big fan of the adventure rank system. I think it's a little slow. I think it works and it's fine. It's a little bullshit, but it's bullshit that you could put up with pretty easily because, in order to get through that bullshit, you've just got to experience more of the game. But it can get a little tedious at times. So, that's one of the big gripes that I have. But there's a lot of stuff to do. It takes a while to get there is the thing. So I don't know if I could like really convince someone to be like, this is a thing that you'll really like eventually. I think the roughest patch would be those beginning hours, because it feels so much more restrictive then than it does now. But I think it would definitely be worth it at around $40. I would argue that maybe it would be better off at like something like 30, but I think 40 is pretty good. Full retail price for like 60, or as far as the PS5 is concerned, $70 now. Fuck no. Fuck no. I don't see that happening at all. But I think it'd be worth it at a price, but I'm glad that it's free, that's for sure, especially because it's a gacha game, so its whole format is, and the whole way it makes money, or the main way it makes money, is off of you spending money on, like, characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't mean to like sound like kind of harsh when I was asking you that question. I was just trying to figure like the best way to kind of like go about that. It's like yeah, it's just kind of weird when you bring on like a value kind of proposition to it, especially like it's a free game, so like it's not worth talking about that, but it's also like it's hard to figure out kind of like where the value should be, kind of. Because like adding like a price tag to a free game kind of like it kind of does help figure out what a value of a game is going to be, like how much you're going to put into it, like what it's worth, I guess. But ultimately, like it is a free game, so like if anyone wants to like check it out, like you definitely should. But like it sounds like even towards the later parts, like you enjoy it, but it has like a lot of issues. Like I agree with you that the adventure rank system is kind of like weird. And so yeah, I don't know. Like I might come back. I'll probably play a little bit more and then like talk about it again next week. But yeah, I just like it's not too much for me at this point. Like I'm not really finding all the systems to be my cup of tea. But it sounds like for you who likes like JRPGs and kind of like things like that and like rich RPGs, like this is kind of, I'm not saying this is rich, but like
and a lot of
it kind of seems like,
and a lot of like busy work and stuff too, because I play like Rune Factory and stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm a little more I'm a little more versed in like those kinds of genres and stuff. So stuff like always going around getting all the like animo sigils and unlocking all the chests and stuff. That's generally stuff that I like to do. It gets a little annoying when like you can't really like see on the map where to go. It definitely adds to the exploration, but I hope there's like a thing that you can do later where it'll be a lot easier to see where the things you're missing are, because I've found almost all the Sealies in the Mondstadt region, which are these little like spirit balls that you go to grab and then you follow them and they go into these statues and then they'll unlock various things like domains or treasure chests. Most of the time it's just treasure chests. But there's like 2 of them left, and I have no fucking clue where they are. So I don't know.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing like your progress update, like your progress report next week.
I'll probably just be on this for the whole of next week too, and like don't like. Obviously, I'm trying to like be like critical about it and stuff too, because I am enjoying it, but it's definitely got its issues. Like even outside of like some of the tedium and the growing pain stuff that I keep referencing, it's got some technical issues too. Like it runs kind of weird at some points. Loading screen times are like they vary quite a bit. And probably one of my biggest gripes is the voice line stuff. Not like in terms of the actual like voice acting and stuff itself, but just in terms of how it runs, how it performs, how it does those different voices. Because there will be so many fucking times, like where they'll say stuff that doesn't match up with the subtitles, or during the main story they'll like Paimon or something will be saying something, but like it never gets said, and that will be the case for other characters. I know that like there isn't actual voice lines when that happens for like side quests and stuff, but I feel like that's a little annoying too, because the way that the text is laid out, it's laid out on the bottom screen and it's not really in like any text box or anything, so it's just kind of there, and it goes on its own as if the character is actually speaking. So like when you're not hearing the voice and you just see those words down there, by the time you notice them, most of the time it's already too late and the words are gone and you don't know what the fuck the characters just said, and that's really frustrating. Like I wish they would do something like where you could like in it when it's like just out in the world and it's not in a cutscene or something, maybe have like the little character icon to show who's speaking like pop up in like either down at the bottom of the screen or like preferably in one of the corners, but I think all the corners are taken up by other stuff. And then like have not only have that, but like have it like do like a little pop up, like a jump up, and then like the text box of some kind appear next to it, and then have like some sort of auditory cue as well to alert the player that hey, someone's saying something, so let's see what they're saying right now. At least something like that, so you're not like missing dialogue, because that's frustrating to me. And like because there's 3 things that I don't like about like how the dialogue and stuff is handled in this game. There's the dialogue tree, when you're talking to like NPCs and stuff, you'll say something and then they'll respond and then you're immediately out of the dialogue tree and then you have to talk to them again to like do the other dialogue options. And it's really dissuaded me from talking to anybody that I don't need to talk to in the game because of that. Because it keeps throwing me out of the dialogue tree and I have to keep going back in every time to see like what else someone has to say. At least do a thing where it takes you back to the beginning of the dialogue tree, and then like it has the leave option down at the bottom, and instead of having to go all the way down to the leave option, like why don't you just press the I use a controller, so for me, like why don't you just press the A button to exit the dialogue tree just like that. It's so like I don't have to like keep fucking going back in every time, because that really dissuades me from wanting to hear what all these NPCs and shit have to say. I don't want to talk to them because it's so tedious to have to go in and out of the dialogue tree over and over and over again. I don't want to do that. I just want one dialogue tree and I want to exhaust all the options and I want that to be that. Just let me do that. And then like the third gripe I have, it's kind of minor by comparison comparison, but like it really takes you out of the experience, or at least it takes me out of the experience a lot. And that's your player character and how the other characters refer to you, because they'll give you names like the Traveler and Honorary Knight and stuff, but when they're referring to your gender specifically, I shit you not, almost every single time, because I play as the male character, almost every single time, they would refer to me as a she, and they would refer to the sibling as he. And it's like, I'm the fucking guy, come on! Like,
Yeah,
it just
it does
takes me
seem
out
like
of
a
it.
lot of jank.
Yeah, it's really janky. Like, I get it, it's a free game, and I think it's kind of a smaller team, but I really hope they fix that going into it, because it's still a thing where they're still like getting updates and shit. Uh, because there was a lot of talk about the possibility of them updating things to where the character could have like costumes and stuff, because the only thing that you can customize is your glider, but yet they name the option wardrobe instead of something like, change glider or something. So people were like, maybe that was planned, but they didn't have time for it, so maybe they'll date that later on or something like that. I would like that, because I don't like the male character's outfit almost purely because of the midriff. I don't know why, it just bugs me. But I just I would rather they like try to fix the technical issues first. Like, I think they are doing that, because I'll look at the mail slot on your pause menu, and they'll like have messages occasionally where they're like, okay, so this character's move didn't work like exactly as planned, so we went ahead and like fixed that up real quick. And then they'll like give you some of those like wish currency things like in the mail, so you can just claim that even if you didn't use the character or anything, and that's really neat. I like that because I get to profit off of it. But uh, like, I don't know if they've really like I don't know if they've yet to do like any like big like update things where they'll actually like have like a whole like patch list of like stuff that they've updated, stuff that they've fixed and stuff. But if they haven't done that yet, or if they're gonna do that soon, I really want those technical issues to be fixed sooner rather than later, because they can get very annoying.
Hmm. Yeah.
So rant
Well,
over.
good, because I'm tired.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, I think the game's just like it has a lot to work on, but it has a lot to look forward to, and I do look forward to seeing like what happens to this game in the future, whether it's like a content expansion or like they drop DLC, or like maybe it's like an ever growing world where they kind of like add new quests or stuff, or I don't know. We'll see
Yeah.
what happens. Like, I do want to see what they do with this game, because I'm not quite sure yet what it is. Like, is it it's a it's just a game that you can beat and it's done, or is it an evolving kind of game? Like, I don't know at this point, but we'll definitely inform you whenever we get the information. So,
Yeah, don't
and with
worry,
the
I'll be sure to do that.
and with that is the end of our episode, boys. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching. We'll get to you next. We'll get back to you next week. I'm so fucking tired.
Hey, Tired Squad, what's up? I don't sound it
What's
anymore
up?
because Genshin, but
True. Well, have a nice day, everybody, and peace out.
goodbye.
Ah, that episode was bad.